Welcome back to another episode of DreadHallowsTV. These stories can be pretty intense, so listen carefully. We all love a nice pizza on Friday evening, although sometimes a pizza delivery will not go as planned. Here are 3 stories about delivering pizza in a quite unusual way. Story 1. The Haunting Delivery. In the heart of the sprawling city, amidst the labyrinth of dimly lit streets, there stood a small, inconspicuous pizzeria. It was a place that had served the community for decades, known for its delicious, mouth-watering pies and its dedicated staff. Mike, a college student struggling to make ends meet, had taken up a part-time job at the pizzeria. He worked the late-night shift, delivering pizzas to the city's insomniacs, night owls, and those who craved a slice of comfort in the darkest hours. Little did he know that one fateful delivery would plunge him into a nightmarish world beyond his wildest imagination. It was a chilly, moonless night when Mike received an order that would change his life forever. The request came from an address he didn't recognize, nestled at the end of a winding, desolate road on the outskirts of the city. The order was placed by a customer named Mr. Holloway, and consisted of a single, peculiar request: an extra-large pizza with no toppings, only crust and cheese. As he navigated the city's labyrinthine streets, Mike couldn't shake the feeling that something was amiss. The pizzeria's phone system had glitched while taking the order, and the caller's voice had sounded unnaturally distorted, like a faint whisper carried by the wind. As he approached the address, the city's vibrant lights faded into darkness, replaced by a haunting stillness. The road grew narrower, and the trees on either side seemed to reach out with skeletal branches. The air grew heavy with an oppressive silence that sent shivers down Mike's spine. At the end of the road stood a foreboding mansion, a grand, decrepit structure that loomed like a forgotten relic of the past. It was surrounded by an overgrown garden, its iron gates rusted and encased in vines. Mike's heart raced as he approached the mansion's front door. The door creaked open, revealing a dimly lit foyer with dusty, cobweb-covered furniture. The air was thick with the scent of decay, and the only sound was the slow, rhythmic ticking of an antique grandfather clock. The mansion felt frozen in time, a place untouched by the world outside. As Mike ventured deeper into the mansion, he noticed peculiar details. The portraits on the walls were all turned to face the floor, and the windows were covered in thick curtains, blocking out any trace of the outside world. It was as though the mansion was hiding from something. Mike's footsteps echoed hauntingly in the mansion's dimly lit corridors as he followed a trail of flickering candlelight. He arrived at a grand dining room, where a single table was set with an array of lit candles. At the head of the table sat a man, Mr. Holloway, the enigmatic customer who had placed the order. Mr. Holloway's appearance was unsettling. His skin was pale, almost translucent, and his eyes glowed with an eerie intensity. He wore a tattered suit that seemed to belong to a bygone era. He gestured for Mike to sit, and without a word, he began to eat the cheeseless, crust-only pizza. As Mike tried to make conversation, Mr. Holloway remained silent, his gaze fixed on the pizza before him. The room grew colder, and the candles flickered as if struggling to stay alight. Mike's unease deepened as he realized that there were no other signs of life in the mansion. No servants, no family, only the haunting presence of Mr. Holloway. The minutes passed like hours as Mike sat in the dining room, the oppressive silence weighing on him. He noticed that the clock on the wall had stopped, its hands frozen at midnight. When he finally mustered the courage to leave, he found that the front door had disappeared, replaced by a solid wall of bricks. Panic set in as Mike realized he was trapped in the mansion with the enigmatic Mr. Holloway. He demanded answers, but his pleas fell on deaf ears. Mr. Holloway simply continued to eat the crust-only pizza, his gaze never leaving his plate. As the hours passed, Mike's fear turned to desperation. He searched the mansion, room by room, looking for a way out. Each room seemed more surreal than the last, with furniture that defied logic and windows that showed only a void of darkness. Mike's ordeal stretched into the early hours of the morning. The mansion seemed to twist and contort, its walls shifting and rearranging themselves. Mike encountered bizarre phenomena, hallways that led to nowhere, rooms filled with eerie, whispering voices, and portraits that seemed to come to life, their eyes following his every move. With each passing moment, the mansion's malevolent presence closed in around Mike. He felt as though he was being watched by unseen eyes, and his sanity began to unravel. The oppressive atmosphere seemed to feed on his fear, growing more powerful with each passing hour. Just when it seemed that all hope was lost, Mike stumbled upon a hidden door in the mansion's labyrinthine corridors. It led to a subterranean chamber filled with ancient books and arcane symbols. Desperate and driven to the brink of madness, he began to decipher the symbols, hoping to find a way out. As he chanted the incantations he found in the books, the mansion shook and trembled. The walls seemed to scream, and the air grew thick with malevolent energy. It was a battle of wills, a struggle between Mike's determination to escape and the dark forces that sought to imprison him. With a final, desperate cry, Mike shattered the enchantment that bound the mansion. The walls crumbled, and the mansion seemed to disintegrate around him. He awoke on the desolate road outside, the first rays of dawn breaking on the horizon. Mike stumbled back to the pizzeria, his mind shattered by the horrors he had witnessed. He tried to explain his ordeal to his coworkers, but his words were met with incredulity. The address he had delivered to was nothing more than an abandoned lot, and there was no record of a Mr. Holloway ever placing an order. Haunted by his nightmarish experience, Mike quit his job and withdrew from the world. He became a recluse, forever scarred by the memory of the enigmatic customer and the mansion that defied reality. To this day, he wonders if he had stumbled upon a portal to a realm beyond human comprehension, a place where the boundaries of reality and the supernatural blurred into a nightmarish tapestry of fear and uncertainty. Story 2. The Midnight Craving. In the heart of the bustling city, where neon signs painted the night in shades of red and yellow, there stood a legendary pizzeria known as Sal's Slice of Heaven. It was a haven for night owls and hungry souls craving a slice of cheesy comfort long after the sun had set. Mia, a student with a penchant for adventure and a taste for the extraordinary, had taken up a part-time job at Sal's to support her studies. She worked the late-night shift, delivering pizzas to the city's nocturnal denizens. But one fateful night, an order would take her on a journey into the eerie depths of the city she thought she knew. It was well past midnight when the phone at Sal's rang. Mia, the only employee on the late shift, picked it up. The voice on the other end was soft, almost a whisper, and sent a shiver down her spine. The caller, who identified themselves only as the Midnight Craver, placed an unusual order, a large pizza topped with anchovies, extra garlic, and black olives. As Mia processed the order, she couldn't help but feel a sense of unease. The Midnight Craver's voice had an eerie, hypnotic quality that lingered in her mind long after the call had ended. Still, it was just another delivery, or so she thought. The address provided by the Midnight Craver was unlike any Mia had seen before, a location at the edge of the city's industrial district, far removed from the bright lights and lively streets. It was a place she had never ventured to, and as she navigated the labyrinthine roads, the city's vibrant energy gave way to desolation. The street signs grew rusted and illegible, and the buildings took on a dilapidated, foreboding quality. Mia's unease deepened with each passing moment as she approached the address. The road seemed to stretch endlessly into the darkness, and the sense of isolation was overwhelming. Finally, she arrived at the destination, a decrepit warehouse, its windows shattered and its walls adorned with graffiti. The air was thick with an eerie stillness, and the only sound was the distant hum of the city. Mia cautiously entered the warehouse, clutching the pizza box tightly. Inside, the space was dimly lit, with a single, flickering light bulb casting eerie shadows on the walls. At the far end of the room stood a figure, the Midnight Craver. The enigmatic requester was cloaked in darkness, their features obscured. Mia could only make out their silhouette as they beckoned her forward. With a sense of trepidation, she approached, offering the pizza. The Midnight Craver took the box, their movements slow and deliberate. As they opened it, a pungent aroma filled the air, anchovies, garlic, and black olives. Mia watched in silence, her heart pounding, as they lifted a slice to their lips. As the Midnight Craver consumed the pizza, an eerie transformation overtook them. Their once hidden features emerged, a face gaunt and pale, eyes that seemed to hold the depths of the abyss, and an aura of otherworldly presence. Mia's fear intensified as she realized that she was not in the presence of a mere mortal. She had stumbled upon something beyond her understanding, a creature that hungered for a taste of the mundane world. The Midnight Craver's appetite was not for food but for something far more sinister. Suddenly, the warehouse seemed to come alive with shadows that danced and swirled. Mia's surroundings shifted, and the air grew thick with an otherworldly energy. She felt a presence watching her from every corner of the room. In a voice that resonated with ancient power, the Midnight Craver spoke. They offered Mia a choice that would forever alter the course of her life. In exchange for delivering the pizza, she could partake in their otherworldly feast and gain a glimpse into the mysteries of the supernatural. Mia's heart raced as she weighed the consequences of her decision. She knew that the Midnight Craver's offer came at a steep price, and that delving into the unknown could lead to her undoing. But the allure of uncovering the secrets of the enigmatic requester was too tempting to resist. With a sense of trepidation, Mia accepted the Midnight Craver's offer. The room seemed to come alive with malevolent energy, and Mia felt herself being drawn into a realm beyond her comprehension. As the night unfolded, Mia's perception of reality shattered. She was transported to a world of shadows and specters, where the laws of physics and logic no longer applied. She witnessed the Midnight Craver's feast, a terrifying communion with entities from the netherworld. Haunted by her decision, Mia returned to the world she once knew, forever changed. She became a seeker of the supernatural, a wanderer in the shadows, and a guardian against the dark forces she had glimpsed that fateful night. But the Midnight Craver's enigmatic presence continued to linger, a reminder that some cravings go beyond the culinary, and that the mysteries of the night are far from ordinary. Story 3. The Ghostly Delivery. In the heart of the old town, where cobblestone streets whispered secrets of centuries past, there stood a quaint pizzeria known as Luigi's. It was a place that had been serving the community for generations, renowned not only for its delectable pies but also for its storied history of late-night deliveries. Mark, a young and adventurous college student, had taken on a part-time job as a pizza delivery driver at Luigi's. His shifts often stretched into the late hours, navigating the city's winding roads to fulfill the midnight cravings of its residents. Little did he know that one particular delivery would thrust him into a nightmarish world of the supernatural. It was a foggy, moonless night when Mark received an order that would change his life forever. The request came in the form of an online order with the name, A. Wraith. The address was unlike any he had seen before, an old, derelict mansion on the outskirts of town, nestled amid overgrown trees and shrouded in an eerie mist. The order itself was equally peculiar, a large pizza with a single topping, black olives. Mark couldn't shake the feeling that something was amiss, but he brushed it off as a prank or a late-night craving of a reclusive resident. He knew he had a job to do. As Mark approached the address, the city's comforting lights faded into the obscurity of the night. The narrow road leading to the mansion was enveloped in an unnatural fog, and the air grew colder with each passing moment. The fog seemed to wrap around the car like ghostly fingers, obscuring his vision. The mansion itself was a looming, dilapidated structure, its windows shattered and its walls draped in ivy. It was a place that seemed frozen in time, a relic of forgotten grandeur. Mark's unease deepened as he made his way to the front door. The door creaked open as if welcoming him into the abyss. Inside, the mansion was cloaked in darkness, and the only source of light was the faint glow of Mark's smartphone. The air was thick with a haunting stillness, and he could hear the sound of his own breathing. Mark followed the directions provided by the online order to a room deep within the mansion. It was a dimly lit chamber with antique furniture draped in dusty sheets. In the center of the room stood a figure, the enigmatic Wraith. The requester's presence was unsettling. Their forms seemed to shift and blur in the dim light, their features obscured. Mark could barely make out their silhouette as they gestured for him to place the pizza on an ornate table. As Mark laid down the pizza box, he noticed that the room had grown colder, and a sense of dread settled over him. The requester reached for the pizza, their hand icy cold, and began to eat, the black olives glistening in the dim light. As Wraith consumed the pizza, a chilling transformation overtook them. Their once indistinct features emerged, a face pale and gaunt, eyes like pools of darkness, and an aura of spectral energy. Mark realized with growing horror that he was not in the presence of a mortal, but something beyond the realm of the living. Suddenly, the room seemed to come alive with shadows that danced and writhed. Mark felt a presence in the darkness, a malevolent force that whispered hauntingly in the corners of his mind. The air grew thick with an otherworldly energy. In a voice that resonated with echoes from the beyond, Wraith spoke. They offered Mark a choice that would forever bind him to the world of the supernatural. In exchange for delivering the pizza, he could partake in their ethereal feast and gain a glimpse into the mysteries of the afterlife. Mark's heart raced as he weighed the consequences of his decision. He knew that the offer came at a steep price and that delving into the realm of the supernatural could lead to his own undoing. But the allure of uncovering the secrets of the enigmatic requester was too tempting to resist. With a sense of trepidation, Mark accepted Wraith's offer. The room seemed to shudder and pulse with spectral energy as he was drawn into a realm beyond his understanding. As the night unfolded, Mark's perception of reality shattered. He was transported to a world of phantoms and apparitions, where the laws of the living no longer applied. He witnessed the spectral feast, a haunting communion with entities from the afterlife. Haunted by his decision, Mark returned to the world he once knew, forever changed. He became a seeker of the supernatural, a wanderer in the shadows, and a guardian against the dark forces he had glimpsed that fateful night. But the enigmatic presence of Wraith continued to linger, a reminder that some orders come from beyond the grave, and that the mysteries of the night are far from ordinary. Thank you for watching. Subscribe for more videos.